Hello, Internet. Welcome to our little dance party at the end of the world. And that came out of a conversation Dave and I had a while ago about all the stuff that's going on at Theory Underground and how it's kind of insane and intense, and we do a bunch of stuff, and it takes a lot of effort. And a lot of normal people in my life and in our lives don't seem to get it. But I'm convinced it's a way forward, and if it's not a way forward, then at least it's a dance party at the end of the world, and at least we can have a little bit of fun while we're doing it, because I got burnout on standard leftist spaces. I thought I was an anarchist my whole life, thought I was a communist my whole life. I've been a worker, became a parent at a really young age, and I never really had anything going for me other than work and work and work and work, and then like a hope somewhere in the back of my mind, or maybe somewhere deep down in my soul, but there was never any effective path to like actualize that. So I was just kind of like holding out hope in the face of daily confirmation that I was fucking insane for continuing to give a shit. And maybe I am, and maybe you all are too. And welcome. That's cool. I'm going to read a little bit from my piece in the Underground Theory volume, and then we'll just keep it moving. I really do want to get to some conversation. So my piece in Underground Theory is called The PMC and the Walls That Separate Us from Them. And I'm going to read the section called Walls, Good, Bad, Necessary, and Fucked. Walls are things upon which one might scrawl a message for the sake of posterity, or create an illicit work of art with a political message, or even wheat paste a giant advertisement for one's clothing brand. Things upon which one can ride a skateboard, though only briefly. Things upon which one might stand and make grand proclamations, or maybe just climb up to get a better view of a passing spectacle. Things through which one might victoriously break. Walls are also concepts, or conceptual objects, that serve to maintain distinctions between other seemingly discrete concepts or objects. Walls are all these things, and more. Any four walls, so to speak, may indeed become a prison. Yet walls can also offer security, privacy, or a dedicated space. Today there is a tendency to want all spaces to be the same. But walls create the possibility for turning meaningless space into purposeful places. We all need a safe place to keep the objects we collect through the course of living our lives as a safeguard against inertia and impermanence. Walls provide the framework upon which we hang all sorts of meaning, personal photographs or artwork. This is not just aesthetic, but a necessary reminder that we are in fact here and that the moments in our lives actually occurred and do matter, if only to ourselves. Purposeful places must be made intentionally, set aside from the rest of the world with signs and symbols, imbued with significance that transcends our singular existence and connects us to others in real ways. Let's take a look at how walls relate to the university. There are no raiders who roam countrysides and pillage whatever they can get their hands on, for the most part. There are no hordes of invading foreign brutes to be kept out. There are no existential necessities for walls. Nevertheless, the university cannot exist without them. Physical walls are not things that I am the biggest fan of. I'm one of those silly people who believes in freedom of movement and unfettered access to public property and all that. But I'm not actually talking about physical walls here. I'm talking about institutional walls. I feel conflicted here because I don't like the idea of force being used to keep people out of places or locked in. But there has to be a way to maintain the integrity of institutions and the adherence to their principles without resorting to exclusion and expropriation. Universities, in theory, exist to serve the public at large, and I want to live in a world where that is true. Universities are the reason we have nice things. We have the nice things we have in our society today: space rockets and the internet and theories of evolution, gravity and history and art, and all the myriad things that make our modern lives possible and comfortable. We wouldn't recognize life without universities as a life worth living. Yet they have become a rude imitation of their idealized form that exists to serve, rather than the public and the furthering of the human experience, nothing more than ideology and the status quo and the all-powerful dollar. As Karl Jaspers says in The Idea of the University, the university owes its existence to society, which desires that somewhere within its confines, pure, independent, unbiased research be carried on. Society wants the university because it feels that the pure service of truth somewhere within its orbit serves its own interests. No state intolerant of any restriction on its power for fear of the consequences of a pure search for truth will ever allow a genuine university to exist. But we have a tendency today to blame all of the failures of the university on neoliberalization, as though all of its inherent contradictions and problems would vanish with enough public funding. Taking the side of the state against big business seems like an easy solution, until we remember that universities in the Soviet Union lost their way as well. We can't just say capitalism bad, anything opposed to it good, because we have seen where that gets us. Under Soviet direction, universities became nothing more than outlets reproducing Stalinist dogma. They lost sight of their ostensible objectives and substituted the party line for that whole truth thing. So yes, capital gets in the way of the university's pursuits. And we must do the work of building a new foundation upon which institutions may stand. But we must not forget the failures of those we might otherwise be inclined to mimic in our efforts to produce an ideal society. If we treat the university and the human enrichment that it purports to offer as commodities, we'll never get anything other than the reproduction of current conditions. That's the exact opposite of what the university is supposed to do. The university is supposed to be the anteroom at the end of the universe, the vestibule that stands just outside nirvana or heaven or the future of humankind. But it has been turned into a kitschy cool kids club for pretentious liberals, edgy orthodox bros, and uncle fucking moneybags. And the rest of it's probably better. So buy the book. All the other pieces are better. But I am very pleased to be included in a diverse collection of thought and contributions from people like me,